kumquat wood. That's today's fragrance. Let's go for a ride. Man, it's pretty foggy today. This is pretty bad. Visibility, I'd say, is maybe 100 yards. I may have to keep my helmet open. Today we are doing a commute, my morning commute to work. Well, let me tell you about my beginning in two-wheeled motorized vehicles. Not just motorcycles, but the beginning was the scooter. I remember as a boy, I loved riding my bicycle. There was nothing cooler than having your own bicycle. You could wash it and take care of it, keep the chain clean, and put pegs on the back and ride your friends around. And that was fun itself. Just having to pedal everywhere was fun enough. Man, this is really bad. Then, to be able to hop on a moped or a scooter and just twist the throttle instead of pedaling, that was awesome. Now you can go anywhere you want to go. The problem is the helmet. It's not the fog so much. When I was 14, it was the summer. I think I had this right. I think it was the summer of '91. It could have been '92. I don't know. Toward the beginning of summer, my brother has his birthday. He turned 16. It could have been a year earlier. I don't know. I think it was his 16th birthday. My dad gives him this Honda Elite scooter, 55cc, 50cc, and that was so cool, man. He let me ride it. You can go anywhere. You're now like an adult. You don't have a driver's license yet, but it's the next best thing, man. And you're out there on two wheels, the wind in your face, you know, all the things people talk about on motorcycles, the temperature changes, the danger, the risk, the solitude. You're alone with your thoughts and your helmet. It's just so fun. And my birthday was about 6 weeks later. And my dad, I did not know this, had also planned to get me a scooter. But instead of waiting for my birthday, which was toward the end of the summer, he wanted me to be able to enjoy it. So I think it was a few weeks after my brother's birthday, my dad shows up in his car. I think it was a sedan, like a Ford Tempo, just a basic sedan, man. He has this scooter stashed in the back of the trunk, halfway hanging out. He gets home from work and I see that thing. I'm like, what is going on? And he's like, son, I want you to be able to enjoy this for as much as the summer as possible, so I got you an early birthday present. That was so cool. That was so cool. One of the best summers. I'm not kidding you, man. It doesn't get any better than that. When you talk about awesome moments in your childhood, nostalgic moments, like happy places, is being on that scooter as a young boy. You guys know if you've been there. I was I was early to ride that thing. I was too young legally. I think in Indiana at the time you had to be 15, maybe even 15 and a half, I don't know. So I was still 14, on the tail end of that year. So he's like, just stay close to home. But a month later I was 15. But I do remember that. I remember being too young to ride it, but my dad was cool enough to get it to me anyway. I hope this audio doesn't suck because I do have this visor open a bit. I remember when I was in my mid-30s and I started to struggle with anxiety and panic attacks. Unexplainably, to this day, I don't really know what the stressors were, what the triggers were, or what the mechanism was for those. But I remember researching and trying to find out, how to calm my system down and get through my life and acclimate to this. And I came across this video by this psychiatrist. I think he's a Christian guy, and he was giving a quick meditative lesson to this small classroom. And what he said was something like, I want you to close your eyes and I want you to go to your happy place. Whatever it was. Sometimes it's childhood, whatever that makes you calm and relaxed and serene. Go to that tranquil, happy place and just sit with that moment. Pretend like you're there again. And pretend like you hear the words of God saying, you are my beloved daughter or my beloved son. I am well pleased with you. And that's it. Just sit in that moment. And that was the exercise he taught us. He taught that classroom. And I remember as soon as he said, go to your happy place, I thought of my Honda Elite scooter in the early 90s. I did. I can't tell you how therapeutic it is. And a lot of people that ride motorcycles, including psychologists, will tell you it is therapy. It is therapy. There are reasons for that. You have to be present. Being present is one of those exercises that you learn if you suffer with anxiety or something else where you need to calm down your system. Get rid of the mind chatter, live in the moment, and just observe and be present with your simple surroundings. And you have to be present on a bike, man. My favorite memory was, if I had to be particular about, I'll flash a picture of this scooter too, with my grandma's cat, I think, sitting on it or near it. My favorite particular moment of the scooter was this. I'm in high school, early high school, and it's Friday. My parents were recently divorced. My dad lived about 40 minutes away by moped. So after school on Friday at 2:30, I would get on that scooter, I would get ready, I'd make sure I was gassed up, and I would ride to Dad's. And I'd spend the weekend with Dad's. And that ride to his house, man, it was so cool. I felt so responsible, like an adult. I can take myself places. I don't need Mom to drop me off or pick me up. I love that. And one day I want to take that route. I don't think I've ever taken that route again as an adult on a motorcycle. But I would love to go back to that childhood home and take that route from Mom's to Dad's. That was so cool. It's just the adventure. It's the solitude. It's the risk. All those things I mentioned earlier. Therapeutic. So that's how I got started in motorized two-wheelers, which later led to motorcycles. Is that Honda, I believe it was a 1990 or a 91 Honda Elite scooter. And man, were those moments elite. And later in life, whenever I wanted to get back on motorcycles, I had many gaps in between my motorcycle riding, where I didn't ride for years, even decades. I would often think about how therapeutic that was. and that helped convince me to get back on a bike. I think I mentioned in the first episode I recorded, and I'm not sure if I published it or not at this point, that it's been quite a while since I've been on a bike. I had the moped when I was 18. 1995, I had a couple motorcycles. I had a really nasty wreck. That will be its own episode. And then when I think it was around the same time. It was around the same time that I started battling with anxiety and stuff, that I got another motorcycle, and I would commute to work on it. It was a Kawasaki Vulcan 500. Great bike. But I got rid of it just to focus on family more and set aside the risk until later. And now I'm back on a bike again. So about a 15-year gap after my big wreck, and then another 15-year gap. I guess you could call me a new rider. I mean, I know how to ride a bike, but in terms of seat time and what have you done lately? I haven't ridden much lately, but I really enjoy getting back in the groove, and I wanted to share that experience of my first motorcycle, as it were, that scooter. I think in the next episode I'll talk about my next two bikes. A little spoiler is I went from that 50cc scooter to a 750 sport bike, and then I went to even a higher horsepower. So that was a 750. My next bike was a higher horsepower crotch rocket, like super sport bike, but a smaller cc. It was a 600. And then after that, the Vulcan I mentioned was a 500. And now here I am on this Kawasaki Versus 300. I find it really interesting that I keep downsizing. It's not intentional, it's just the way it works out. 750, 600, 500, 300. I think that I may go full circle and be on that moped again soon. Well, this is the Highway 46, secondary highway, 55 mile per hour speed limit. It goes right through beautiful Brown County. We'll be at Nashville in about 20 minutes. And it looks like the roads aren't too bad. Okay, yeah, there's not much fog out here now. It's just my visor sucks. What a beautiful ride. A lot of people in Indiana know about Brown County and how beautiful it is, particularly in the fall time when the leaves change colors. I'm just north of Brown County State Park. The entrance is up here a few miles on 46 heading westbound. Indiana is relatively flat, so if you think of Indiana as cornfields, you are right. But that's northern and central. When you get south central, Brown County is when the hills, that's my Hoosier twang popping out. When you get down here, the hills, man, the hills begin here in Brown County. This is as hilly as it gets, man. These are not Appalachian mountains. These are just hills. So it's quite scenic if you're used to flat Indiana. And as I said, the really pretty time is the fall. One of my first dates with my wife 24 years ago, we went to Brown County. I'm not even sure we were engaged yet, and she made some sandwiches and we had a little picnic by a pretty lake, and we carved our names along with a heart in one of the trees. I doubt it's still there. I may not be able to find it. I remember that. We took our bicycles too. Had a little bike ride. Here we go, Brown County State Park. This is the north entrance here. Not sure if you can see that biker waving. Bikers do that. Unless you're on a Harley and you don't think that non-Harley riders are human. Even some of those guys will do it. Left hand, 2 fingers down is the typical recognition. I think it indicates 2 wheels. 2 wheels on the road are what connect us to life and separate us from death if you fall. I got this GV windscreen to replace the factory one. It's a little bit thinner, but definitely taller. But I think what it did was it took the buffeting off the chest and put it directly on my big fat face. Now there's helmet buffeting. It's right in my helmet. That's why you're hearing some of that wind noise. Sorry about that. I don't know. I think you want it off your chest because you get fatigue there too, and it's not as aerodynamic as the helmet. So I just found that it's not easy to fix wind problems. There's another clip-on thing you can get to help direct the wind over the head, but you know, how big a windshield do we need? Who's your buddy Liquors? Who's your buddy? I'm your buddy. Who's your buddy? I'm your buddy. No, who's your buddy? I'm your buddy. Speaking of Hoosiers, we're going to be riding into Bloomington and driving right by the IU Athletic Complex, home of the national champion Indiana Hoosier football team, undefeated. Kurt Signetti. Maybe he'll wave to us when we go by. Sorry, Purdue fans. I love Bloomington. You know, I had the scooter for a couple of years, and that does give you seat time, man. It's not going to go. Like I said, you got to have a downhill. Like down a hill with the tailwind, you can probably go 44 with your helmet down, you know, tucked down on the gas tank. But it's not fast, but you do learn on a moped or a scooter like that. You learn how to ride a two-wheel motorized vehicle on the streets and deal with traffic and keep it balanced. And I think that I want to teach my kids to ride motorcycles. I think they should learn on that. My daughter, she's 18. She wants to get a Ninja 300 or something like that, or a Ninja 400. I guess they don't make the 300 anymore. They discontinued the 300 Ninja whenever they released this in 2017. This has the same engine, and I'm like, honey, you gotta start off on a scooter. No, I don't like them. They look stupid. They're not cool. Yeah, that's true, but you'll get so much more experience in a much safer context. So this is a beautiful view right here. You can't see it, but it's a wonderful lookout over the best parts of hilly Brown County. I wear earplugs, even though this bike isn't terribly loud. I think it's the wind. It's the wind noise that gets you on a motorcycle. The accumulation of that noise can damage your hearing. And when I was young, earplugs, nah, that's stupid. But you know, I value my life and my health. I want to be strong, not weak. Why would I not wear earplugs? I was once at getting my car repaired at this place that was right next to a Harley Davidson. the South Side Indy Harley Davidson. So I popped in there as I was waiting for my car, and I was just talking to these guys. My brother had recently purchased a motorcycle from them. I'm like, hey, you know my brother? I'm like, oh yeah, we know him. Yeah, he got a breakout. And I've never liked Harleys. I'm sorry. I know that to many people, they're beautiful, and it's just high-class motorcycles, I guess. Again, to some, if you want to spend $20,000 or $30,000. My biggest beef is that I don't think you get value, but I don't like loud noises, period. I don't like loud pipes. They're loud and they're expensive. And I like value and quiet. So I asked this guy, excuse me, I think he was the salesman. He could have been the guy that sold my brother his bike. I said, you guys wear earplugs, right? Something like that. Or you guys sell earplugs, or I think I just said, like, what do you guys do about the noise? You wear earplugs? He's like, what? I'm like, earplugs. He's like, no, we don't wear earplugs. And the way he said it was really rude. Like I was stupid. Like I was some kind of sissy for asking him if he wanted to protect his hearing. So apparently it's cool to damage your hearing. I'm not talking about just a regular. You've got the wind noise, which will be present on any bike, even this parallel twin versus 300. But I'm talking about a high torque, big pipe Harley Davidson. And it's not cool to wear earplugs, according to this guy. I'm sure there are Harley Davidson riders who wear earplugs. So, wear earplugs, man. Wear earplugs. I'm sure your local ENT will agree. I think I'm going to hit every red light possible. Okay, welcome to Bloomington, everybody. Okay, here we are. This is this is a baseball diamond. I'm not sure if you can see Assembly Hall, but Assembly Hall is the only time I went to Bloomington before working here. That was in '94. That's the building right there. And there's the football stadium, Memorial Stadium back there. It's in the fog. But I ran track in my senior year in high school, and we did an indoor meet. We went to Mackey Arena in Lafayette at Purdue, and we ran there. I DQ'd in the 50 meters, whatever, it was a short dash we ran. I disqualified. And then we came down here, and they set up a indoor track in Assembly Hall, and I ran the 200-meter dash. That was cool. Well, I'm going to sign off for now, y'all. Y'all come back now, you hear? Thanks for watching.